Texas Votes Government Relations Assistant. I am also a former Planned Parenthood patient. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today to kick off the Planned Parenthood Texas Advocacy Week of Action. My name is Ashley, and I'm proudly from Houston, Texas. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the Planned Parenthood Texas Votes Government Relations Assistant. I am also a former Planned Parenthood patient. I grew up in a mixed status household, which meant that I grew up fearing state agencies or any organization that worked with the state. I would only visit the doctors when it was absolutely needed, since I didn't have reliable insurance. Once I moved to San Francisco for college, I decided to take ownership of my sex education since the state of Texas failed to provide me the proper education. There, I became a patient of Planned Parenthood. It was the first time I felt the most safe with an organization and a doctor. I even received my first ever STD test and received birth control at the age of 18. Once I moved back to Texas and tried to get care here, I realized how many more obstacles a patient faces when getting healthcare with Planned Parenthood. My own experience is why I'm a reproductive health and rights advocate. It is very common for those in marginalized communities to feel uncared for and alone, especially when it comes to taking ownership of your sexual and reproductive health. But Planned Parenthood provides care no matter what. No matter your past, income, immigration status, I truly envision a world where communities have a wide range of reproductive options without financial limits, and it is why I am an advocate. This week of action is about how we take action to stand up for our health and our rights. It's about making our voices heard in the political decision making that impacts our very existence. COVID isn't going to prevent us from taking action this year. Instead of bringing hundreds of Planned Parenthood supporters to the Capitol, we're holding virtual events throughout the week, including training to strengthen your advocacy skills, building community through events like this one, and meeting with elected officials. Speaking of building community, I am so happy to be joined by two superstar Planned Parenthood young leaders, Emma and Monica.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm so glad to be here. My name is Emma. My pronouns are she, her, ella, and I'm a Planned Parenthood Texas Youth Power Fellow based in San Antonio. During my senior year of college, I visited my local Planned Parenthood clinic and found out that I was carrying an unexpected and unwanted pregnancy. I immediately knew the choice I would make, and Planned Parenthood was able to provide financial assistance to support me. However, abortion had been deeply stigmatized in my community, and I had to keep my experience hidden from my closest family and friends. Years later, my mom shared her plans to protest outside the very clinic that had offered me abortion services during my difficult time. In that moment, I made the choice to be vocal about my experience and not let my mother participate in harmful protests that further stigmatized this essential healthcare. I told my abortion story to my mother and have continued to share openly in hopes that we will reduce the stigma of making choices that work for us. 1 in 4 US women will have an abortion by the age of 45. And by sharing my story, I've been able to connect with friends, family, and communities of people who have faced similar choices and similar barriers to access. Based on these experiences, I became involved with my local Planned Parenthood over 3 years ago and recently became a Youth Power Fellow. Ashley made it clear that this week is so important during the legislative session. For me personally, I am most concerned about the more than 40 anti-abortion bills that have been introduced this session. We've already seen some of these bills pass out of the Texas Senate, and now we're going to see what happens next in the Texas House. The bills introduced this session represent some of the most extreme abortion bans in the country, including a bill that would ban abortion at 6 weeks, before many people even know that they're pregnant. I am motivated to be in this fight because I believe deeply that all Texans deserve access to safe, legal abortion. No one should be denied the care they need because of political interference. I can't wait to take action this week along with my fellow Planned Parenthood supporters across the state. I'm ready to fight back against political attacks, and I hope you will all join me. With that, I'd like to pass the mic to Monica.
I'm so excited to be here with y'all. My name is Monica, and my pronouns are she, they, and I am a Planned Parenthood Texas Youth Power Fellow from Waco, Texas. I've been involved with my local Planned Parenthood for about a year, and I've just always been drawn to Planned Parenthood because they've always provided me with a safe space to seek help and any information that I needed. I grew up in a household where we didn't really talk about sex, let alone consent or birth control and healthy relationships. I truly believe that this information could have been helpful to me when I was younger with any questions that I had about my body and any interactions with others. I believe that everyone deserves access to comprehensive sex education so they can make healthy decisions regarding sex and sexuality. And that is why I'm in this movement. Planned Parenthood is the nation's largest provider of sex education, reaching over more than 1 million per year. Emma already covered that bills attacking our health and our rights are moving really quickly through the Texas legislature. But there are also some really good bills that would help expand reproductive health access, such as Free Choice of Provider Act, the Abortion is Healthcare Act, and Rosie's Laws, amongst others. We'll drop some information in the chat for y'all to learn more about these bills that can make reproductive health care more accessible for Texans with low income, women, and people of color. Lastly, I would like to leave y'all with a friendly reminder that we all need to remember. Our elected officials, such as the members of the Texas House and Senate, work for you, and it's really critical that they hear directly from you. And now I'll pass it back to Ashley.
Thank you so much, Emma and Monica, for sharing your personal stories and why you're in this fight. Advocacy Week of Action is all about building our power as a movement led by us, young people across the state of Texas. Planned Parenthood in Texas is committed to lifting up young leaders in this work. I am proud to introduce Melanie Linton, President and CEO of Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast in my hometown of Houston.
Good afternoon. I'm Melanie Linton, President and CEO of Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast and a member of the Board of Directors of Planned Parenthood Texas Votes. Thank you so much for being here to kick off Planned Parenthood Texas Votes Advocacy Week of Action. I am thrilled to be here with young leaders across our state. Your engagement is so critical to our movement, and working together, I know that the equitable future we are working tirelessly to build is within reach. At Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast, we know that amplifying youth voices is essential to building power, and we operate several programs to spotlight and cultivate the next generation of advocates. Planned Parenthood Young Leaders are young people in our service area who recognize that the future of reproductive freedom and quality healthcare depends on their determination and dedication. PPYL's mission is to build this new generation of supporters and advocates in order to ensure the right and ability of all individuals to manage their sexual and reproductive health. PPYL members lead community outreach events, advocacy campaigns and activities, civic engagement efforts, and more. Their college-aged counterparts are PPGen, Planned Parenthood Generation Action, who mobilize to build support and awareness of reproductive health and rights in their campus communities. Finally, our peer education programs like Teen Reach and Sisters Saving Sisters foster leadership and life skills in adolescents who become health ambassadors for their friends, families, and communities. Peer educators in these programs advocate for age-appropriate, medically accurate sex education to help all young people make life-sustaining, healthy decisions. We are so proud of the vital movement-building work young people are doing across our state every day. Advancing this movement forward requires a lot of energy and dedication, and no generation is off duty. This isn't just a steady march or a sprint. We are in this for the long haul, and we need new perspectives and passion. The last year has been extraordinarily challenging for all of us, but it was no match for Planned Parenthood's trademark resiliency. Our incredible frontline healthcare workers stepped up to continue providing safe, expert healthcare throughout the pandemic, and we even managed to expand access. Last spring, Planned Parenthood Gulf Coast launched telehealth services in record time to ensure people could safely and easily get the care they needed. To date, we've provided more than 15,000 virtual visits, including some for patients in more remote rural areas where we don't have physical health centers. But as all healthcare providers struggled to adapt to our new reality, some politicians used our public health crisis as an opportunity to further their extremist agendas and score cheap political points. We saw this last spring when Governor Abbott tragically exploited the pandemic to temporarily ban abortion in Texas. And we saw it again most recently when the state moved forward to exclude Planned Parenthood from the Medicaid program, blocking access to essential health care for more than 8,000 low-income Texans who rely on Planned Parenthood for cancer screenings, birth control, STI testing and treatment, and so much more. While we might not win every fight, one thing is certain: we never back down. Too many people are depending on us, and we stand strong in our commitment to care, no matter what. We believe that no one is free until all people can control their own bodies and futures. We know that healthcare is a human right, and we will never stop fighting back against any attempt to infringe on that right. But we need your help. This week is so important for our movement. Now more than ever, it is imperative that we recommit ourselves to this mission and make our collective voice heard. Elected officials work for you, and it is critical that they hear directly from you. Let them know that Texans deserve better, and we will not stand for any attempt to play politics with people's lives. Let them know that no matter what they do to try and block our path, we're not going anywhere. Our doors stay open, and our movement keeps growing. Thank you again for joining this important week of action and for standing with Planned Parenthood today, tomorrow, and always. We couldn't do this work without you.
Now, I'm proud to introduce Representative Erin Zwiener, who is a Planned Parenthood champion and former patient. Representative Zwiener is a vocal fighter for reproductive health and rights in the Texas Capitol and always stands up for Planned Parenthood patients.
Hey y'all, State Representative Erin Zwiener here, and thank you so much for joining Planned Parenthood tonight. As y'all know, there are bad bills set for hearings this week in the Texas House, bills that would restrict access to reproductive health care. Those bills have already been moving way too fast in the Texas Senate, and we need your help to make sure that every Texas legislator knows that Texans want access to safe reproductive care. I have been a Planned Parenthood patient myself, and the care I received there when I was just out of college helped me protect my fertility so that I could have my daughter today. The services Planned Parenthood provides are essential, and now more than ever, we need every single pathway to healthcare to be open and available to Texans in need. So what we need from y'all is to stay engaged, to reach out, to let your legislators know that you're paying attention and that you care about these issues, that your neighbors care about these issues, that your friends care about these issues. We are on the right side of history and we are on the right side of public opinion. But right now we need y'all to stand up and make sure every single person in that pink dome knows it. So once again, thank y'all so much for joining Planned Parenthood. Stay engaged, stay loud, and we'll beat these bills.
I'm proud to introduce Representative Jasmine Crockett, a newly elected member from Dallas who is a proud Planned Parenthood champion and a former patient.
Well, hello and welcome to your state capitol. I am Jasmine Crockett, State Representative for House District 100. And while we are doing this virtually, please believe I've been working very hard along with my colleagues to make sure that we can get back to doing things in person, because that's when we really get busy. But first of all, let me tell you why I'm so excited to have you on this day. Because a few years ago, I won't tell you how many years ago, I actually was a Planned Parenthood patient myself. You see, in going through college, I just didn't know really where I would go and get my well woman checks done. And the easiest option for me was Planned Parenthood. I went away to school, away from St. Louis, Missouri, and I was in Memphis, and I didn't have my doctor. But one of my friends on campus told me, you should try Planned Parenthood. At that time, I had no idea what all Planned Parenthood did, but I was happy to find out that Planned Parenthood would be there for all of my well woman issues throughout college as well as law school. Planned Parenthood actually became my official doctor as I was a student. And you know what? The reality is that Planned Parenthood is standing in the gap for so many young ladies as they're going through college and beyond, honestly. And so I'm so excited to have you here. If there's anything that I can ever do, I'm always here to help. One of the things that we're doing right now is trying to make sure that we can expand access for all Texans, especially our women, when it comes to healthcare. What happened during this pandemic is that we recognize that there were disparities that have always been there. COVID-19 only further highlighted that those disparities were existent and how harmful those disparities could be. And so I hope that you'll join me and my various colleagues as we are trying to expand access instead of denying anyone access to the life-saving medical needs that they have. So with that, thank you so much. And I look forward to having a wonderful day with you guys.
Thank you all so much for being here and for watching. I can't wait to get this week of action started. The fight ahead is not easy, but Planned Parenthood knows about uphill battles. We can win because we are a strong movement with energy and passion. We'll keep everyone updated with everything that is happening this week and how you can get involved. We want to make it very clear to every single elected official in the Texas Capitol. We will fight always for our health and our rights, no matter what. Let's do this, y'all.
We're pulling into the party and we're shaking off the dust. It's been a damn long week and all we wanna be is way too drunk. Wanna feel a warm body, wanna dance until we're numb. We're drowning out the world tonight with plastic bottle rum. All pretending we know what we're doing, but we know that we're still just young. Love, heartbreak kids acting like we somehow got a clue. We're catching 22. Tired to wait, caught up in the twilight of our youth. We're catching 22. We're catching 22. It's running past midnight and the blood is running high. Barely old enough to be as sober as we're not. The air's a little hazy and the smoke got to our heads. We're breathing in the nights we tell ourselves we won't forget. All pretending we know what we're doing, but we know that we're still just young. Love, heartbreak kids acting like we somehow got a clue. We're catching 22. Tired to wait, caught up in the twilight of our youth. We're catching 22. We're catching 22.